Good afternoon, good evening, mangwanani, maswera sei, vana vaMwari kumativi mane nyika kwese kwatingadai tiri kusangana zvakare panguva ino yemadekwana yemadeukazuva. In the UK, it's 18:36, 25 minutes to 9. Yes, welcome, and very good day to you all. I hope I'm finding you all well in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ, and I hope God His mercy is abundant wherever you are. And my apologies to viewers on YouTube, because it would appear like I have abandoned you in as far as mindfulness and meditation is concerned. But I actually have not. I have not forgotten all about you. I am, always having you in my thoughts and in my mind as I meditate on a daily basis, and I always remember you. And remember, I broadcast live on Facebook, I broadcast live on Instagram, and I also broadcast live here on YouTube. And one of the days we'll be doing it on Twitter. And yes, so if you don't find me on YouTube, please do check me out on Facebook, and also do check out on our Instagram page or account. So yes, today we want to talk about the power of the power of meditation. The power of meditation, and those who haven't joined me in meditation, you could kind of use the same information in understanding the power of mindfulness. And mindfulness is the basis of meditation. Without, if you don't practice mindfulness, it will be very difficult for you to get to grips with meditation, contemplative prayer, or prayer, serious prayer. Kumasowe zvinonetsa kana usinga understanding meditation, usinga understand mindfulness. Sorry. So I always urge people to go and visit my YouTube channel. This YouTube channel, it has got lots of basic meditation videos that I have done. And if at any time you want audios, I also have got lots and lots of audios. If you want us to practice together, please do feel free to give me a shout, and we do that together. Now, first things first, I've always said with meditation is higher level of acceptance, radical acceptance at its highest level, where patience is just the order of the day. There's no two ways. You have got to be able to accept things as they are, and also to be patient. And to be patient is a virtue. And it is one of the highest virtues, which not everyone is capable of attaining total patience. Not everyone. It requires lots of practice, because you have got to accept that what is, and it is what it is, for good or for worse. Who knows? We just let things be. And as we know and we accept, everything happens for a reason. There is a reason God made things what they are. He doesn't just wake up in the morning and say, oh, it's going to be rain. There is a reason. So for you to be able to accept that and keep it inside you and bottle it and say, all right, it is what it is. For bad, for good or for worse, who knows? I'm just going to let things be. And when we have accepted things that way, it is at that purest moment of acceptance that our mind, body, soul, spirit begin to transform itself into something better. Well, let's go and ask Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, who are divorcing right now, and tell them, and ask them, why are you getting divorced? I will tell you. One of the things I haven't read about, the reasons behind the divorce, but I will tell you, one of them is, one of them guys has become impatient. They can no longer tolerate. They can no longer live with. They can no longer accept. They can no longer sit with the present moment. They want things to be what they are not. And that is not to meditate. That is not to be mindful. To want things to be what they are not is not being mindful. So, if we learn the basics of mindfulness, the basics of saying, what is in the present moment is what it is. People wrongly say experience, or the past, let me say. The past is the greatest teacher. But actually, if you have practiced mindfulness and you have practiced meditation, contemplative prayer, you know that the present moment is the greatest teacher. The present moment is the greatest teacher because it is only the present moment that you can change. You cannot change the past, neither can you want to live in the future because we are not yet there. So if we lose focus of the present moment, if we lose focus of what is, then we cannot enjoy life. Now, what do I mean? What I mean is so simple and straightforward. Now, try to think about something else while I'm talking. Think of your favorite food. Think of something that you really, really like. Put your mind there and tell me what happens to what I'm saying here. The truth is, you lose everything. You can only hear my voice, but your mind cannot process and retain what I'm saying because it is on something else. But the moment you let go of that something else and bring your mind back to what I am talking, to what I'm saying, then it begins to make sense and it begins to sink and you can retain it. That's why, simple and straightforward. You cannot drive effectively when you are chatting on the phone, when you are texting on the phone. One of them suffers. It's either you are not paying attention to the conversation on the phone, where you concentrate on the road and the traffic, or you concentrate on the chat or the conversation on the phone, and boom, before you know it, or you're slamming on your brakes before you know it. This is what life is all about. We can only focus on one thing effectively at a time. And this is how the brain is made. This is how the mind is made. Yes, let us talk of multitasking. We can multitask. I can be typing and I can be listening. But remember, this comes with a lot of training for you to be able to listen, comprehend, type, and not make errors. Now, you might have been in a court and you see those, guys typing continuously. What they are doing in court is to type and not to remember or to retain. So their mind is just on listening and typing. So they are just doing one thing at a time. If you distract them by something very, very silly, they lose focus And possibly you'll find the judge saying, "Excuse me, can we repeat this? Because I don't think, because of the distraction that just happened, the typist has captured these things correctly." And they use shorthand in order to capture stuff very quickly. What I'm just saying is meditation is powerful. Powerful in the sense that it teaches us to stay in the moment and to accept the moment as it is and to say, yeah, this is what it is, for good or for worse. Who knows? Now, you might have heard this story about this chief or this president, this very, very powerful person who had a doctor. And they trusted this doctor. And this doctor had one good saying. And their one good saying that they always said to the king and to everybody else is, for good or for worse. Who knows? So nobody really understood what he meant by this. So, because he was, if you are a doctor and you are assigned to look after a president, to look after a king, a queen, a powerful person, they expect you to do things just very, very well, the best. Because you are the best. So you must produce the best result. So this king, one day had an infection on a finger. And they asked the doctor and said, "Do you think you are going I'm going to heal?" And the doctor said, I want to think so. Yeah. But who knows? For good or for worse. I might be able to heal it, or I might not be able to do it. So the king expected his physician to do the best. But unfortunately, the finger deteriorated and it had to be amputated. And the king was so angry at the physician and said, "I pay you lords, and you couldn't save a finger." And the physician said, "I tried my best. I tried my best, but unfortunately, I couldn't save your finger. But for good or for worse, who knows?" The king was not going to get it. "You always say that, and it's so boring and it's frustrating. You're going to jail. You are going to jail." So the physician was thrown into jail, and the king threw away the key. And the physician says, "Well, for good or for worse, I'm in jail. Who knows?" So the king, when they went hunting one of the days, they came across a group of natives who were, who offered humans to their gods and so on, and he was captured. They took him to their sangomas and everything and said, "Yeah, we have brought someone here to sacrifice." And they said, "Oh, great." On the day of sacrificing, they said, "Let's inspect this person and see if he is the perfect person for sacrifice with no blemishes and everything." And during the inspection, what do they find? He had one finger missing. And they say, "Oh, no, we can't sacrifice someone with a missing finger, someone with a blemish to our God. So let him go." So he was released. And he went until he got home. And people were celebrating and saying, "Oh, the king is back and he's safe and sound." And he said, "You know what? I was saved because of this missing finger. And I sent someone to prison." Let me get him out. So we got him out, and he said, thank you very much. This is the key. Saying thank you very much to the physician. And I'm so sorry for putting you in jail. Because I put you in jail for not saving my finger. But I was saved from death because of this finger. And I want to thank you. And I'm sorry. And the physician said, no, don't be apologetic. Don't be, I'm happy. I'm happy. What do I always tell you? For good or for worse? Who knows? You. So being in jail was good. Although you might think it was a bad thing, but it turned out to be a good thing. Well, you thought losing a finger was a bad thing for you. It turned out to be a good thing for you. So, situations, when I'm in meditation, we are teaching ourselves, we are teaching our body, and we are teaching our minds to say, whatever situation that we are in, we need to learn to sit with it, because we never know whether it is for good or for worse until we just sit. And when we just sit, that's when we begin to see the reason why God has made things happen that way. Job, the story of Job, is a powerful meditation story. Job was afflicted by the devil with the permission of God himself. God allowed things to happen. But what did Job do? Job did not give in to what the devil wanted. The devil thought God would lose his patience with God. He thought Job would depart from his own virtues, from his own, values. He would depart from his own beliefs just because of suffering. But God knew Job would not do that, and Job sat tight and said, even to his wife, I don't care what is happening to me. Because if it is God who is letting it happen, then there is there is nothing I'm going to do. I'm not going to change it. For good or for worse. Who knows? And he sat with his suffering. And what happened? The devil was embarrassed. The devil was overcome. The devil was humiliated because Job overcame. And he was saved. And what is the outcome of his patience? The outcome of his patience is all he had lost was restored threefold. In other words, he was 3 times richer than he was at the beginning. So it's a powerful story which teaches us the power of patience, the power of resilience, the power of commitment, the power of consistency, the power of remaining what we are, who we are. We are faithful children of God. We are born out of faith. We are a result of God's grace. We know if we sit tight, if we wait upon the Lord, what does the word say? The word says, those who wait upon the Lord, blessed are those who wait upon the Lord, for they shall overcome, for they shall be blessed, and they shall soar high above the clouds, and God shall reward them, and God shall be their God. This is the power of meditation. With meditation, if we do it and we practice it with our hearts, body, mind, and soul, we will be able to generate inside us energy that is required to heal this body, to heal this mind, without the use of medication, without the use of anything else, but just the energy that is inside ourselves. Let me say to you, a lot of us, we do not know how the body works. We don't. Even science today is still learning a lot of things about how the body works. I didn't know that the liver, chiropa chedu, chine power mukati meupenyu hwako, and chinofanira kuchengetedzwa. It must be protected at all costs. Yes, it can be replaced by a liver transplant, but getting a liver from someone else, it can be replaced by a transplant, but it will never be the same. So, my dear brothers and sisters who drink alcohol that damages the liver, plenty of alcohol that damages the liver, you need to think twice. The liver, did you know? Everything that we eat, everything that we eat, before it is sent out into the bloodstream, has got to pass through the liver for verification, for checking, for detoxing, for changing chemical composition so that it can be safe for the body. Apart from, of course, alcohol, which can be absorbed in the mouth. A little bit of alcohol can be absorbed in the mouth and also in your tummy before it gets into the intestine. But everything that goes, if it gets to the intestine, where a lot of absorption is happening, it is going to pass through the liver. And did you know that in mindfulness and in meditation in particular, what we are doing is to enhance the power of the liver to do its work efficiently. What we are doing in meditation, when we are sitting still with our eyes shut, breathing gently and deeply, we are powering the body. And some of this power is needed by the liver so that it can do its work properly. So, how about that? There's a lot. Maybe you've heard panel post-mortem. Avaregi kutora vanoita zvetoxicology, looking at toxins and everything. They will have to get to the liver. If they cannot quickly find solutions, they will get to the liver. the believer usually will tell a big story. It can solve a lot of stories. It's one of the organs. So how does meditation help in that? Meditation helps mainly in a lot of enhancement of how the organs in our bodies work by helping the body maximize what is within it. Meditation teaches you to let go of anger, which consumes a lot of energy. When you're angry, you consume a lot of energy. That's why you don't think straight. No angry person thinks straight. This is true. When you're angry, you're blind. You hear people saying, I was blinded by anger. When you're angry, you don't think very straight. So mindfulness teaches you to let go of anger. It teaches you to let go of fear. Fear consumes a lot of energy. Imagine somebody who is constantly fearful. They are constantly anxious and they panic. And these two, anxiety and panic, drain a lot of energy. You never see someone who suffers from anxiety and panic attacks who is physically very, very strong. They are constantly complaining of low energy levels, of having headaches, of having palpitations, and they are generally have body aches and all sorts of things. If you have got very, very selfish ambition, too much ambitions, too many desires for things that are not really, really necessary, it consumes a lot of energy. In other words, we are talking about a lot of negativity that is within you. Mindful meditation teaches you to let go of all these things. And when we are talking of contemplative prayer, again, as a form of meditation, we are talking of where you are letting God be God. Because He's God. It's not about you, but it is about God. So you need to learn to let God be God. And that is energy saving. Imagine how much energy you will save. Vanhu vekutandamisana nekudzingirirana nevanhu ninge akantadzira, he did this to me, and you're constantly thinking, and you say, you know what? I'm a child of God, and God has taught me, forgive. Loving, kindness, forgiveness, empathy, compassion, warm-heartedness. These six attributes. And if you put the seventh one, altruism, doing it with all your heart, body, soul, mind, and spirit. If you put this into practice, you save a lot of energy. Because if you love everybody, love does not require a lot of effort to put it into action. You just need to love. You just need to smile. Have you tried it? When you are angry, you are using a lot of muscle power, because you must amass a lot of energy to contract the muscles. Yet in smiling, you just need one muscle, the zygomatic muscle. Just one muscle. That's all you need. To be angry and to frown, you need more than 10 muscles. To smile, you need one. Now, where are you saving energy? By smiling, by loving. That is meditation. Meditation teaches you. You know what? Life is suffering. So when you are suffering, don't try to struggle and say, no, I shouldn't be suffering. You consume a lot of energy and you don't heal. If you have got a problem, you don't heal. If you are constantly fighting against reality. Acceptance that life is suffering. So what is happening to me is what it is, for good or for worse. Who knows? For good or for worse. Who knows? I will be patient and I will sit and I will let go and wait upon the Lord. Now, accepting the fact that while suffering is part of life, we also know that our suffering has got a cause. There is cause. There is something that is causing this suffering. And whatever is causing this suffering, we need to problem solve. Rather than panicking and fighting, we are sitting down and say, what could be driving my suffering? What could be driving my suicidality? What could be driving the anger? What could be driving the quarreling that is constantly happening in my house, in my family, in my relationships? What is causing, what is driving? And we sit down and we look at the drivers. You might find that it is actually your laziness that is making you quarrel with your partner. It is your laziness that is making your boss constantly check on you. Why? Where are you? What are you doing? Whom are you with? Can you please send me your location? Once you identify the drivers, you need to address them. And this does not consume a lot of energy. Rather than being angry, being frustrated. Why is my wife constantly checking on me? Why is my husband constantly checking on me? They don't trust me. Why is this? Just be clean and be okay. Problem solved. Do the pros and cons. You don't. It doesn't consume a lot of energy. These are the things that you can do while you are idling and you are sitting down quietly with your eyes shut, and you're just saying, Lord, I commit my life to you. And you let God be God. And I will tell you, this will preserve megawatts of energy that will then be channeled to the healing process. I've said before, try this at home. Press somewhere until you feel it tender. Press really, really hard until you feel pain, right? When you feel pain, stop and keep the pressure with the pain. And then taking a deep breath through the nose, hold it for a brief moment, and breathe out slowly. Just saying to yourself, relax. And tell me what happens to the pain. It will still be there, but it will be better. When you do the second one, the pain begins to vanish. By the time you get to the third one, the pain is almost gone. All you can feel is your thumb. Press it. And this is the power of meditation. This is how the body itself can release energy, can release hormones. This is how your cells, when they are given much needed energy that you conserve and preserve while you are meditating, heal you. Some people have asked, Evangelist, how old are you? And I say I'm very old. I look, my face does not look as old as I am. Why? Because I smile more than I am frowning or I am showing frustration and things like that. And this has held my face to get rid of a lot of unwanted wrinkles or not to develop a lot of unwanted wrinkles. Yet some people of my age, because of the frustrations they cannot deal with and accept and live with, they are wrinkled. And by the way, every wrinkle on your face, every line on your face has got a story to tell. We can talk about that at some other point. I understand a little bit about, making sense of the lines on your face by merely looking at people and, reading, studying a bit about micro expressions. I understand a bit about these lines and so on. You can't fake, you cannot fake a smile. There is a real smile and fake smiles. You can tell easily. He's smiling, you would buy side because for a smile, I can tell you right now, it's a genuine smile. Kana munhu asina kumbeta stroke meso wake is equal. Muromo is equal. It is equal. Ukaona munhu akasmaira arikufeka. And also a genuine smile creates some wrinkles there. It creates wrinkles right there. That's a genuine smile. Even kana munhu asina wrinkles kumeso kwake, a genuine smile will create some wrinkles there, some wrinkles there. This is a reaction of just this one muscle, the zygomatic muscle. That's where it goes. And when you smile, that's how it responds. Finish. I'm talking about meditation. Sometimes we digress and we learn in the process. Now, saving energy. Maslano, what's the talk of the century? The talk of the century when it comes to energy, it's creating, technologies that conserve energies. Talking of using electricity, electric batteries versus using coal, uranium, and things like that, because they harm the environment. So things that harm the environment in the human body, we are saying there are things that can harm the body. And we have got a way that can help you to manage energy mindfulness. What's mindfulness? One, meditation. Two, contemplative prayer. Three, what you are doing is being still and breathing just as is needed. And when you're meditating, personally, I aim to reach a breathing rhythm or rate, a breathing rate rather, of between 7 and 9 rests per minute. When I'm at my best, 7 rests per minute. This is where I am at the moment. And I aim to keep my heart at between 55 to 65. Baba. Now, I can tell you the amount of energy that you will be saving in that state is you. Where does this energy go? You're only going to save her. Papa, you know, channel to the mind, to the brain. And the brain, in order a lot of energy for it to think. Intellectually, IQ, and emotionally, EQ. By the way, there is intelligent quotient and there is emotional intelligence. Intelligent quotient is IQ, emotional intelligence is EQ, EI, or which way you want to put it. So you channel energy to the brain. And when your brain is operating efficiently and it's maximum, then your body is going to also function really, really well. And because your body is still, it's not going all over the place. It is able now to say, okay, now hands are not moving, feet are not moving. It's only the breathing and the digestion which does autonomously. Where else can we channel our energy? And the body and the mind say, okay, we currently have got lungs that are struggling, we have got knees that are struggling, they need a little bit of energy to rejuvenate the tendons and everything. So if we can channel all the healing powers there, all the soldiers, let us go and fight this enemy, because the rest of the body, it's relaxed. Your healing is quicker. That's why if you go for meditation, if you go muscle and you do it with all your heart, body, mind, soul, and spirit, you come back feeling better. When you meditate the right way, after your meditation, you feel great. If you practice your mindfulness the correct way, at the end of your mindfulness practice, whether it is 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, or a day, at the end, you feel better. It is because you have managed to keep your mind and body still, conserving energy that is then channeled to the areas that it is most needed. So, shall we practice some meditation for 10 minutes? Time. So, sitting as straight as you can. If you want, you can. When we say sit comfortably, you know what is comfortable for you. I won't dictate that, oh no, backs, you should have your back so straight, and you should do this, and you should do that. Make yourself comfortable. Press your hands. I normally want my fingers to be touching. Kind of, this gives me a sense of balance, some equilibrium. And sometimes I want to just make like that, make this form. Sometimes just make it like that, as though it is a heart. So many ways. Or just like prayer gesture, like that. And then I put them just between my legs, over my lap, and between my legs. And close your eyes. And let us start off by doing the 3 deep breaths to regulate our breathing, to release the stress inside our chest, the tension in our body. As you breathe in and you breathe out, just relax, relax, relax. No rush. You do it at your own pace. Some people want to do it like you're taking a deep breath and you gasp the air out. Like it helps them to empty the lungs completely. And after that, just bring your breathing back to its normal rate of breathing. And let's pay attention to our present moment. Just being aware where you're sitting, the sounds around you. And let us do a compassionate check of our bodies, starting with our feet. Just noticing where your feet are, where they are touching the ground, touching the floor, the carpet, the sensation. Just being aware of where your ankles are, any tensions, any stress. As we go up to our shins, our calves, just flexing the muscles to check them out. You can make a quick inquiry if you want. How are you doing, my calves? How are you doing, my knees? You will be shocked. They will reply. They will tell you how they're feeling. It's part of your body, isn't it? You're just checking it out as you go up to your thighs, checking out your bum. Very important big muscles there that help us maintain our standing position, bending over, running, jumping, adjusting the way you're sitting. If there's any where you're feeling, oh, it's biting the chair, it's biting into me, the cushion, just adjust the way you're sitting. Feel yourself comfortable as you move up the back, your tummy, groin area. You're just being compassionate, you're being kind to yourself. So move up to the chest, your shoulders, your upper arms, lower arms, your wrists, your hands. As you check out your neck, appreciating the great work it does to carry the head around all day, all night. Now paying attention to your face. Try to relax your face, the muscles there. Around the eyes, you can Try to pull them, release, pull, release, tense, release. Taking a deep breath and breathe out slowly, just releasing the tension. As we now turn to the mind, just being aware where your thoughts are. Make sure they are in the present moment, aware of what is happening in the present moment. If they wander away to the past, notice that your mind is wandering. Let go of the past and bring it back to the present moment. Same applies if your mind is going to the future. Notice it is wandered and let go and bring it back to the present moment. Just being aware of where you are, where you're sitting. That is what matters at the present moment. Maybe pain somewhere, just be aware you've got pain somewhere and let go. Do not pay attention to the pain. Notice the pain. Notice the discomfort. Notice, and let go. Just bring your awareness to the present moment. Could be paying attention to your breath. Breathing in, as long as it's comfortable for you. Holding it for as long as it is comfortable for you. And breathing out slowly for as long as it's comfortable for you. And holding it for as long as it is comfortable for you. And repeat. Just constantly noticing your thoughts as thoughts. Don't give them names. Don't love them. Don't hate them. Just label them as thoughts. Not good thoughts, not bad thoughts, but just thoughts. And I'll be silent so that we can continue the last few minutes silently. And next time you hear me talking, to be ending our meditation. May God be with you and God bless you. And now as we bring our attention back, exiting the meditation, I just want you to make a quick reflection on your experience, how it felt to be so silent and still, staying in the present moment, letting the past be the past, and the future to stay in the future, while you're keeping your awareness in the present moment. And as you open your eyes, just reward yourself with a big smile, saying 10 minutes, you will have managed to sit and meditate. and God bless you. Catch you later. We'll be broadcasting live later tonight on Facebook to talk about the Word of God. We didn't do our after church service, so we'll be catching up at Kurkura Shoko Shokoramari, and also have an opportunity to practice meditation and also mindfulness at the same time for those people who are still learning meditation. And then we call it good night. And this will be at usually 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, because we're going to start off our Bible study at 7:30 is 7:32 now, running late. So, guys, thank you very much for watching, and may God continue to bless you, and may He heal you, and may you find peace, joy, and love in the mighty hands of our Lord Jesus Christ. And God bless you.